Shalom, a double dose of the Trailer Park Boys. I hope you enjoyed that. I did. I thought of playing it a third time so I could go and make myself a cup of tea, because I drank the one I'd made whilst it was playing, but never mind. Instead I'd get on with this. Glaring errors. Para los españoles, haré otro directo en español pronto, but for the English, I just said in Spanish. For the Spanish speakers, I will do another Spanish hangout soon, or another session soon. We're going to go into glaring errors of ways of looking at the world. So I have a couple of things lined up. First, we're going to listen to a video. Then we're going to watch a little clip. And then we're going to discuss both the little clip and the video in context of a paper, a physics paper. Yes, it's going to be lots of fun. Okay, so just bear with me. This fella first. We're talking about galaxies and how they rotate. If anybody wants to watch the video, this is the title. I'm not pasting a link. There you go. There's the title. We're going to listen.
They looked at various galaxies out there and started to see a very unusual pattern. A pattern that somewhat relates to one of the previous videos I made on the channel where I talked about the connection of everything in the universe. Now in that video I mentioned that we've discovered certain unusual parameters of very bright galaxies known as quasars. You know, it's those big, really massive and really bright objects that are visible from everywhere in the universe.
That's imaginary, what he just said. Visible from everywhere in the universe. No, only visible from Earth. You don't know what's visible anywhere else. In fact, you don't know that Earth is visible from any given distance above the Earth. You know, 300,000 miles. Can you see the Earth? Are you alive?
And so quasars seem to have a pattern of alignment when it comes to their arrangement in the universe. And we've discovered this about 5 years ago. And it might be not instantly apparent, but a lot of these quasars are aligned in a very certain way along these invisible filaments. And
along these what? Let's listen again.
About 5 years ago. And it might be not instantly apparent, but a lot of these quasars are aligned in a very certain way along these invisible filaments.
Invisible filaments? Well, if they're invisible, how do you know they're there? Well, because these things seem to be kind of queued up along these filaments. Jolly good. That's enough of that fella. Let's go on to this. And I thank Gandhi. David Chan, that is. He brought this to my attention several years ago. This is just such a crippler to the globe belief, to the ideas of the sun. This is about the sun. This is why I've called this glaring errors. This is why I wrote a book about the sun called The Book of the Sun. Some people out there, some flat earthers, get triggered by this. No, you should leave that alone. Let other people figure things out. So what do we see? Oh, looks like the sun reflecting in a mirror just leaning there on the wall. Look up. Oh, lovely blue sky. Now you all know it's not, well, but let's play along. Oh, very clear sky. Let's see. Oh, bright sun. Quick, get the sunglasses. Let's move over to the side. Oh, look, parallax. The sun seems to move along with us, just like the sun does in the real world. Well, isn't that magically wonderful? How is this contrived? How is this lamp, because that's a lamp in case you didn't already know, okay, it's an artificial skylight. How is that sun contrived? How did the inventor manage to generate, well, what appears like a sun? It's a flat surface, the screen. It's compressed elements, the same as we have in our atmosphere. There's an electromagnetic field running, well, in a lattice form with, well, filaments from one LED to the next LED staggered to create this holoprismatic sun. Hey, guess how I describe the sun in the Book of the Sun? As a holoprismatic nexus. That's right. That's right. You see, from your point of view, if you were under this lamp, you would see the sun, well, there where you're seeing it now. But whilst you're seeing the sun there, your friend is seeing it there. Oh no, does that mean that if you draw lines of sight from your point of view, the sun is 93 million miles away? No, silly. It means you here now, or your friend, is looking at a different nexus point. A different nexus than, well, this one. It's all a series of nexus, but you only have one available at a time. Now, as the sun moves across the sky, it goes through, well, nexus to nexus to nexus. It continues to fluctuate, and it fluctuates at a rate of gigahertz. That's right. What does that mean, Antonio? It means that the filaments that are being vibrated keep switching. Now it's this filament, now it's this filament, now it's this filament. And you can measure this switching. And it comes down to, well, gigahertz. Good Lord. How could that be the case? Well, let's read this. Let's just read this paper. This is a Progress in Physics, October 2013. Special report. 40 lines of evidence for condensed matter. The sun on trial. Liquid metallic hydrogen as a solar building block. Now, the paper we're about to read a portion of is largely based on consensus. That's not necessarily truth, just consensus, okay? So things people have agreed on. So the liquid metallic hydrogen, what would this, liquid metallic hydrogen, could this be, well, hydrogen that has been condensed and has a charge, and the result is that thing that they might refer to as metallic hydrogen? Yes, it is. That's what it is. So Pierre-Marie Robitaille, excellent guy, Department of Radiology, The Ohio State University, 395 West 12th Avenue, Columbus, Ohio. So we're going to read this. Okay, glaring errors is what I have called this hangout. Pun intended. Our sun has confronted humanity with overwhelming evidence that it is comprised of condensed matter. Wait, what? Condensed matter? Well, if you can't prod it, how do you know it's condensed? Well, we surmised that it was matter. I mean, it's there. Is a rainbow condensed matter? Well, you could say so. You could say it's condensed. Well, you could say that there's an electromagnetic field causing a joining of molecules in the air, creating this prismatic banding of colours. You could say that's... No, you can't really. Never mind that. Dismissing this reality, the reality that there is an idea of overwhelming evidence that it is condensed matter. Okay? Dismissing this reality, the standard solar models continue to be anchored on the gaseous plasma. So, on the one hand, you have overwhelming evidence of condensed matter, where they can't actually prove matter, they can prove condensed somethingness, like the condensed somethingness here. See, this is the condensed elements we have in our atmosphere, condensed, like compressed to a point of condensation, to the point where, well, what happens when you have a gas and it condenses? Well, it becomes a liquid. So condensed to a liquid form. How is this described? As liquid metallic hydrogen. Well, that's peculiar. So let's continue. Dismissing this reality, the reality of condensed matter, the standard solar models continue to be anchored on the gaseous plasma. That nuclear fusion furnace sun 93 million miles away. That's right. And because it's 93 million miles away, and because we have a measure of temperature increase under the sun on the surface of the Earth, we know how much temperature increases. Well, if we then factor in the distance of those 93 million miles and how much loss there would be to the radiative heating qualities of that sun's electromagnetic radiation, well, we can back calculate the surface temperature of the sun. That's right. We know how much arrives here. It's 93 million miles away. Therefore, if it's lost energy in a mathematical squaring by distance, negative squaring by distance, yeah, then the temperature on the surface of the sun must be millions of degrees, or at least thousands of degrees, or at least hundreds of degrees, or a large number of degrees on the surface, because they say it's very far away. So, okay. In large measure, the endurance of these theories can be attributed to 1. The mathematical elegance of the equations for the gaseous state. 2. The apparent success of the mass-luminosity relationship. And 3. The long-lasting influence of leading proponents of these models. Let me read 3 again. The long-lasting influence of leading proponents of these models. Unfortunately, no direct physical finding supports the notion that the solar body is gaseous or a thermonuclear reaction. Let me read that again. Unfortunately, no direct physical finding. That doesn't mean they haven't gone up there and prodded that nuclear explosion, and that would be direct physical finding. No, it means no direct experiment has proven. There is no physics experiment that has ever supported the notion that the solar body is gaseous. Without exception, all observations are most easily explained by recognizing that the sun is primarily comprised of, wait for it, condensed matter. However, when a physical characteristic points to condensed matter, a posteriori argument, what does a posteriori arguments mean? Well, it means not a priori. A priori means at first glance, immediately available. A posteriori means once you think about it. So after, you see, it might appear one thing, but then you might say, well, on second thought, well, you know, thinking in posterity, thinking back on second thought, a posteriori, arguments are invoked. So, despite the fact that there's no evidence that it's a gaseous thing, and that there's evidence of it being condensed matter, second thought arguments are invoked to account for the behavior using the gaseous state. So, hey, it's behaving like condensed matter. Well, if you think about it, a gaseous state could behave like condensed matter. Oh, I see. Let's continue. In isolation, many of these treatments appear plausible. As a result, the gaseous models continue to be accepted. There seems to be an overarching belief in solar science that the problems with the gaseous models are few and inconsequential. Let me read that again. There seems to be an overarching belief in solar science that the problems with the gaseous models are few and inconsequential. In reality, they are numerous and, while often subtle, they are sometimes daunting. The gaseous equations of state have introduced far more dilemmas than they have solved. As in, well, it's not behaving like the gaseous model says it should. Many of the conclusions derived from these approaches are likely to have led solar physics down unproductive avenues, as deductions have been accepted which bear little or no relationship to the actual nature of the sun. What does that mean? Deductions. People have deduced that things must mean something, and the things they have deduced has no relationship with the actual nature of the sun. It could be argued that, for more than 100 years, the gaseous models have prevented mankind from making real progress relative to understanding the sun and the universe. Why are they even studying the sun in the first place? Why are they studying the universe? Because it's there to be studied. No, they want to know what's going on. And when somebody comes along and says, hey, I know what's going on, forget the reality, forget things, just follow this mathematical construct and that will tell you what's going on, and people jump onto that bandwagon, they don't arrive at what's going on. And then when somebody comes along and says, actually, I think what's going on is this other thing, and I think you can literally see it with your own freaking eyes, like, oh, shut that guy up, oh, for God, look at that guy saying that silliness. No. In fact, the silliness that he's saying actually supports what we say, which is what they did with the equations and the gaseous state. Okay, so hence the sun is now placed on trial. 40 lines of evidence will be presented that the solar body is comprised of and surrounded by condensed matter. Wait for it. It is made of and surrounded by condensed matter. What is? This is comprised of and surrounded by condensed matter. That's right, this artificial sun in a very thin layer of condensed elements. That's right. And the big one we have in the sky is just a bigger version of this one. True story. So, where was I? Condensed matter. Solar body is comprised of, so what is it? It is condensed matter, and it is surrounded by condensed matter, and that's what manifests the sun. That's the only access we have the sun, is through the fact that it involved condensed matter. Hey, what do you mean condensed matter? Well, imagine the atmosphere above the Earth stretched out over thousands and thousands and thousands of miles, and then condensed down to only a few hundred miles. Yeah, then that would be condensed matter. These proofs can be divided into 7 broad categories. 1. Planckian, to do with sizes of things. 2. Spectroscopic, to do with the electrodynamics. Structural, dynamic, helioseismic, elemental, and earthly. Collectively, these lines of evidence provide a systematic challenge to the gaseous models of the sun and expose the many hurdles faced by modern approaches. Okay, Observational astronomy and laboratory physics have remained unable to properly justify claims that the solar body must be gaseous. I'm going to read that again. Observational astronomy and laboratory physics have remained unable to properly justify claims that the solar body must be gaseous. At the same time, clear signs of condensed matter interspersed with gaseous plasma. What's a plasma? An electrified field, an electrified gas. Oh, like what I've been saying with this. And what happens if you electrify a gas that's being turned into liquid? Well, it has this flux state of phase between liquid gas, and between those two has this thing called light. Oh, okay, interesting. Gaseous plasma in the chromosphere and corona have been regrettably dismissed. Let me repeat. At the same time, clear signs of condensed matter interspersed with gaseous plasma in the chromosphere and corona have been regrettably dismissed. Now remember this, chromosphere and corona, they're referring to the sun. They're not referring to the 93 million miles away thermonuclear explosion. When they refer to the chromosphere, they're simply referring to, well, that circle of bright glare in the sky. And the corona is just outside of that. That's what they're referring to. Okay, so as such, it is hoped that this exposition will serve as an invitation to consider condensed matter, especially metallic hydrogen. You mean like in this? Yes, like in this. All right, okay. When pondering the face of the sun, very good pun there, face of the sun. So, I'm going to carry on reading. Now, this comes from Father Angelo Secchi from 1875. The sun is a world so different from our own. Is it a world really? No, it's not really. Oh dear, there's a little bit of positing of an idea there. However, relative to understanding its structure, so it has an actual structure, does it? Yes. Oh, does rainbow have a structure? Well, kind of, not really. Well, shut up you. Go and say your Our Fathers and Hail Marys. One must not lose heart. Over the past few years, science has made a lot of progress constructing it into a mathematical model, and those who come after us will not fail to make even more. Unfortunately for you, Father Angelo Secchi, your church has been found to be a complete another spiritually and morally corrupt nest of nastiness, of darkness. Introduction. A long time ago, men like Gustav Kirchhoff. Who are these men? Gustav Kirchhoff. Oh, the guy who broke down the effects and the process of microwave radiation. That guy. Oh, I see. That guy. Whose laws are real and true and testable and actually used and like real, true. A long time ago, men like Gustav Kirchhoff, Johann Solner, William Thomson, that's Lord Kelvin, of the Kelvin meter, of the light sensor. That's right. Kelvin, of that temperature from light. Yes. And James Jeans viewed the photosphere, or the solar body, or the solar disk, or the solar glare, as existing in the liquid state. What liquid? Well, liquid like that liquid. That's right. Okay. Despite their stature, scientists since the days of Herbert Spencer and Angelo Secchi. Who's Angelo Secchi? Oh, that guy. This guy. The priest. Slowly drifted towards the concept that the sun was a ball of gas surrounded by condensed matter. Oh, okay. Others of equal or greater prominence, including August Ritter, Jonathan Lane, Franz Schuster, Karl Schwarzschild, of the Schwarzschild equations of Nassim Haramein, the charlatan, Arthur Eddington, Subramanian Chandrasekhar and John Bhaskar would have their chance to speak. The sun became a fully gaseous plasma. Sorry, who was instrumental in it becoming a gaseous plasma? Oh, this priest! Oh my gosh, another time that a priest usurps real physicists like this guy. That's right. Real physicists like this guy usurped and shunted to the side for a cockamamie idea instead of a true idea, a true pursuit, like these guys' pursuit of the sun, their thoughts, their considerations of what the sun was. Okay. As a consequence, the gaseous sun has embedded itself at the very foundation of astronomy. Few would dispute that the sun is a gas and that our understanding of all other stars and the universe, the entire universe, is inherently linked to this reality, the reality that the sun is assumed to be a gaseous mass. Therefore, any endeavour to touch the face of the sun must be viewed as an attempt to reformulate all of astronomy, and with it, astrophysics. So anybody who comes along and says, no, the sun is this other thing, is rewriting, reformulating all of astronomy and astrophysics. Don't think I don't know what I'm doing with the Book of the Sun. Yet, when astrophysics remained a young science, observational astronomers such as James Keeler, Edwin Frost, and Charles Abbot objected to the theoretical basis for a gaseous sun. August Schmidt was the first to mathematically dismiss the solar surface as illusion. Speaking of him, Charles Abbot, the director of the Smithsonian Observatory, would write, Schmidt's views have obtained considerable acceptance, but not from observers of solar phenomena. Charles Maunder made the point even more forcefully, but under ordinary conditions, we do not see the chromosphere itself, but look down through it on the photosphere or general radiation surface. This, to the eye, certainly looks like a definite shell, but some theorists have been so impressed with the difficulty of conceiving that a gaseous body like the sun could, under the conditions of such stupendous temperatures as there exist, have any defined limits at all, that they deny that what we see on the sun is a real boundary, and argue that it only appears so to us through the effects of an anomalous refraction of dispersion of light. Anomalous refraction or dispersion of light, which is what I explain in the Book of the Sun, in not these words, because I hadn't read this paper yet. Such theories introduce difficulties greater and more numerous than those that they clear away, and they are not generally accepted by the practical observers of the sun. Okay. Alfred Fowler, the first secretary of the International Astronomical Union, shared these views. The photosphere is thus regarded as an optical illusion, and remarkable consequences in relation to sports and other phenomena are involved. The hypothesis appears to take no account of absorption, and, while of a certain mathematical interest, it seems to have but little application to the actual sun. Wonderful. So we have a mishmash of ideas, and mathematicians saying, I think I can describe this facet of the idea. With time, however, the voices of the observational astronomers were silenced by the power and elegance of the mathematical arguments. Those who could not follow sophisticated theory could no longer become professional astronomers. What does this mean? It means that left-brained, or the analytical, critical, pattern-seeking, unimaginative part of the brain, the rule-following part of the brain that analyzes through set rules, not new rules, can't think up different ways of analyzing, was the kind of mind that could become a professional astronomer. The imaginative thinkers, novel thinkers, curious minds, real curious minds, including half left, half right, or even more right-brained. No, we prefer those who will obey. And those who will obey are the left-brained thinkers, those who seek boundaries to get a sense of safety. That's how we have the globe, with its mathematical matrix, with the latitudes and longitudes perfectly symmetrical. So, those who could not follow sophisticated theory, this does not mean they weren't bright enough to follow it. It means that it can mean they could not follow because they didn't have the conviction that it was correct. So those who could not follow sophisticated theory could no longer become professional astronomers. At Cambridge, the mathematical tripos became and remained an accepted part to a PhD degree in astronomy. Where did Stephen Hawking study? Cambridge. Oh, that's interesting. Theory, rather than observation, came to dictate the face of the sun, and all solar phenomena were explained in terms of a gaseous entity. So theory became superior to observation. As gases are unable to support structure, additional means were adopted to explain solar observations. Magnetic fields became the solution to every puzzle, even though gases are incapable of their generation. Hey, how does the sun generate a magnetic field? Well, it just does, by magic. But gases can't generate magnetic fields. Well, the sun can. Over time, theoretical approaches claimed one victory after the next, until it seemed as if the standard solar models were unshakable. Gases were inappropriately endowed with all of the properties of condensed matter. In reality, a closer examination would have revealed that many theoretical achievements were inapplicable. Some of the difficulty stemmed from improper experimental conclusions. Ooh, improper experimental conclusions? What could that mean? Well, it could mean experiments were conducted, the results didn't actually arrive at the conclusion that was published, so the way by which it arrived at the conclusion that was published was an improper way, as in with extra ad hoc ideas put in there, or conjecture unsupported by any evidence or any observation whatsoever put in there. In fact, sometimes just by referring to somebody else who's respected in the field. There you go. Somebody else in the field also agrees that, even if that person doesn't agree, you know? Anyway, the universality of several laws on which the entire solar framework rested was a product of faulty assumptions. These errors were introduced when theoretical physics remained in its infancy. But now, they were governed by other branches of physics, black body radiation and condensed matter physics, not by astronomy. The most pressing problems were never properly solved by the physics community. Ooh, they moved on, did they? Yes, they did. Solar theory was replete with oversights and invalid assumptions. But the shortcomings would be extremely difficult to detect. Problems which were solved 100 years ago still lurked in the background. Too much forward progress was desired with too little attention paid to the road travelled. Most viewed that only a few minor problems remained with gaseous equations of state. Evidence that the sun was not a gas was dismissed with complex schemes often requiring the suspension of objectivity. What does this mean? It means it required a lot of belief, a lot of faith that what was being said about what other people had concluded was correct. Evidence that the sun was not a gas was dismissed, with complex schemes often requiring the suspension of objectivity. Nonetheless, many lines of evidence had revealed that the body of the sun must be comprised of condensed matter. Must be comprised of condensed matter. Not might be, could be, must be. Slowly, arguments initially advanced by men like Gustav Kirchhoff, that's right, and James Jeans began to re-emerge. Moreover, they were joined by an arsenal of new observations. Today, at least 40 proofs can be found disputing the gaseous nature of the sun. There are surely more to be discovered. Conversely, not one direct proof exists that the body of the sun must be considered a gaseous plasma. So, when it says, today, at least 40 proofs, that means if they are a proof, it means they are a direct proof. Don't think that because the word direct is not here, it's talking about some other kind of proof. No. 40 direct proofs for the sun being this. It is clear that the lines of evidence for condensed matter which are contained herein are worthy of a cohesive discussion. For the purpose of this presentation, they are subdivided and reorganized into 7 broad categories. Okay, we went through this. And that's as far as I'm going to take it today. I don't want to bore the hell out of you. Okay? Now, you'll note, as I go through this, that it is discussing mainly... Oh, hey, Sasha, if you're there. Ah, interesting. You'll note, from me scrolling, that the reliance on long-form mathematical equations is rather lacking. It seems like what's being discussed is, well, processes, real phenomena, not long mathematical equations. Okay? So, I'm not going to scroll all of it because obviously you can't read it. But I will paste it in the chat. And this is just one, okay? So give me a second while I find the chat. Oh, gosh, everything went strange. Those of you in the chat, there you go. Okay, so glaring errors. Let me stop screen sharing. And I will tell you a little story about what happened a few days ago on a Spanish channel. My latest video, hey, new hat. Yeah. Harris Tweed. Anyway, my sister got me a hat for Christmas. I like it. I like it. Yeah, I can go like this. Yeah. Anyway, put a bit like this. My hand, my baguette. And other things. Anyway. My latest upload was from a Spanish channel. In that Spanish channel, I went to join a cartographer to discuss my map and compare it with, well, Google Earth or any other map that he cared to present. He didn't present any map. Interesting. No Mercator map, only Google Earth, and he didn't present Google Earth. I did. Okay. In that video hangout for the Spanish speakers, they'll see that what's going on is I'm saying, hey, you know, if you measure these things, it doesn't actually agree. The real world doesn't agree with your globe distances, but it does agree with my flat Earth map distances. Do you realize that? And in that hangout, there's a little bit of rewriting of history where what's being shown is that my map doesn't agree with anything and their globe does. It's like, oh dear, that's not strictly speaking true. In fact, that's not true at all. When I bring up the lamp that I've shown in this, there's discussion about no, including silly objections that light is not like the sun. The sun emits ultraviolet radiation. That light can't emit ultraviolet radiation. If it did, it would be illegal. Because and one of the people saying this is a PhD, a doctor in physics. So I kindly explained to them that, well, all artificial lights generate ultraviolet light. It's part of the spectrum that goes with light. Okay? Oh no, it doesn't. So in my Hangout, in my reposting of that, in the chat, you see a link to discussions, yes. And in the actual Hangout, I say, look, silly dim-dims, I have a grow lamp. The grow lamp uses LEDs like that artificial sunlight. The grow lamp uses LEDs and it uses ultraviolet radiation to help the plants grow. It's a grow lamp. But no. Then I explain to them when they're talking about the sailing speeds and how it can't be possible and like, look, the sailing speeds are the sailing speeds that the captain claimed. Those sailing speeds are only possible on my map, not their globe. I've shown this before. On the globe, they fall short of distance. It's like too near. From Cape Horn to London, it's not possible to cover that distance in 50 days at 300 miles a day, which is what the captain said. We did a speed, magnificent speed, of more than 300 miles a day. Okay. On the globe Earth, 167 miles a day. Like, just not possible, just no. So, this gets rewritten by those silly Hispanic flat earthers, by the physicist who doesn't understand that cosmic background radiation is electromagnetic in nature, that's what radiation is. Radiation is little pellets of matter. He seems to think that radiation is small pellets of massless points, matter. Massless mass. That's right. And this is the superimpositional cockamamie belief of globe physicists. That's right, because they can't understand what sunlight is, or in fact what light is, how it comes to be. They think, well, it must be a thing that has two simultaneously exclusive states. Yeah, superimposition. It could be a particle or could be a wave. Yeah, I know that a particle is entirely different to a wave, but it must be. It must be a particle that can be a wave if you're not paying attention. And that's literally what they say, by the way. Okay? If you're not paying attention, it becomes a wave if you're not paying attention. What does it do when you do pay attention? Well, it behaves like a wave. Oh, so it's not that you're not paying attention, is it? Well, this is a cockamamie belief of the globing physicists. Superimposition. Mutually exclusive states. I'll give you an example of a mutually exclusive state. I used to say you can't have a cube that's both red and blue all over. Globelings have too much of a problem with this, saying, yes, you can. Like, really? Like, draw it for me. I can't draw it. Well, explain it to me. Well, I can't explain it, but you can. Okay, so you can't, can you? No. Okay. So, instead, I'll give you another mutually exclusive state. Here is a mutually exclusive state, a thing that would have to have more than one state in order to be possible. And that would be for a triangle to be a triangle with more than 3 sides and more than 3 corners. Can a triangle be a triangle with more than 3 sides and more than 3 corners? No, it can't. If it has more, it's not a triangle. It's as simple as that. So just bear with me a second, I have a message. Okay. So this is the globe belief. This is how disjointed their fantasy belief system is from the real world, where electromagnetic waves aren't waves, they are points, geometrical points, with no extension, as in no size to them, no dimension, no way of it measuring anything. This in response to me asking, what is the size of the cosmic background radiation? Take your pick what you want to measure. Do you want to measure the amplitude and discuss that? Do you want to measure the longitude? Up to you. The answer is 1.9 millimeters. Talking with this with Orphan Red not long ago, or months ago. Okay. The guy didn't know, so he's embarrassed, so he starts answering, no, electromagnetic radiation has no size. When I say no, it's 1.9, he's like, no, you stupid, that 1.9's got nothing to do with its size. Like, look, length is a unit of distance, of the size between, the distance between 2 points, that this can be said to be a size. It's a bit of semantics, but we're talking, well, separation, just like this has a size from here to here, this has a real size. There's a separation in distance, and that's what we're referring to. Doesn't matter if it's in a wave and you're measuring this, or if it's in a wave and you're measuring this, okay? Doesn't matter. It's still, and it turns out that it's this. It's not just the radius, okay? 1.9 millimeters. So the astronomer, it goes into a hissy fit, sorry, the physicist goes into, the doctor of physics, goes into a hissy fit about it not being true. All because I showed that lamp, and I asked him to show an equivalent with a small, consistent thermonuclear detonation with all the spectrum that we receive from the sky. So this is a rewriting of history that the Globelings do. 1 second. One second. And that's what happens. So, right now, if you go back in this Hangout, if you joined lately or recently, we have astrophysics has started to, because of the heavy reliance on mathematics and the disparity between the predictions made by mathematics versus the observation made by the astrophysicists, the difference between the two means that they're having to start straddling both worlds. Make it a combination of, well, observational-based mathematics rather than mathematics-based predictions, because the predictions are turning out, well, no, that failed. That prediction that was made that says there's a direction to the center of the universe where the Big Bang occurred, that failed. So they're now studying and observing and coming to the conclusion that, well, there are magnetic tubes that scroll around the surface of the Earth. Hey, how do I describe the filaments of the sun in the Book of the Sun? Well, as well, fiber optic cables or tubes or filaments or rays and beams. Right. So, experimental physicist, my word, there are, well, magnetic fields have a tubular shape to them. Huh. Real world, okay, in Australia. Okay, I mean, the study was done in Australia, in the desert. Huh, that's interesting. Huh. Look at all these stars and constellations and galaxies in the night sky. They all seem to follow a, well, filamentary structure. True story. Like, really, in the real world. They just haven't figured out what those filaments are. I have. And that's why I'm so smug. Because I have figured them out. I'm sorry if some guys would like to figure them out and haven't. And they have some animosity towards me. Truth is, I really don't give a fuck. Sorry. But if you figure something out, and you figure it out from observation, not because somebody told you, not because you studied it, just from observation and thinking and observing and thinking and observing and thinking, and you arrive at a conclusion that is so robust that you know in years to come the physicists are going to be adopting what I'm explaining, and it's going to resolve many of their questions. When you're in that state, well, you write a book of the sun, and then you go on to write a second book, which is more specifically on the structure of the filaments, what the filaments are. And it's just so simple. It's like those truths, truths that are just so simple that when somebody points them out, you go, oh, geez, wait, and this hasn't been known all along? No. In fact, if you look all along, you'll see a very different story. Now you look and you can stopgap all the breaks in the logic of all the various different stories, including the logic of the, what are they called? The Hindu ages. There's a term for them. So Hindu astrology and Hindu astronomy, which is very, very old, by the way. I don't think it's all come from the West. Is it the Kala Yugas? They're called something like that. They have these hundreds of billions and quadrillions of billions and all these huge figures of age. It answers that. This is how you're wrong with that, silly. So, it's with that I have called this glaring errors. Because when you point it out, people go, my word, well, that was a simple, huh? How did we miss that? It's like, it's so simple, so absolutely true, so demonstrable, testable, repeatable, employable, like can be actually used, and we missed it? Yes. So that's my next book. I'm nowhere near finishing, so this isn't like an advert for it. I'm just telling you, because I'm giving myself a pat on the back after being on this hilarious, ridiculous hangout with the Spanish cartographer, where he was actually going into the triple blink, into the long pause, into the incredulous laughter, and then having that laughter rammed down him. Like, I don't know. It was very interesting to me. Rob Vibrations, long time no see in my chat. Let me see. I see Lover of Rock in the chat again. Lover of Rock. Don't you get tired? Oh, okay. So here, I did think of doing the hangout about this. Oh, wait. Lover of Rock. Quit your propagandizing, silly. I will put you in timeout because you just said something that's just false. So, put you on timeout. I was going to make this hangout about in the beginning of this whole flat Earth adventure, this modern re-engaging with the idea, there used to be a lot of hangouts of flat earthers with flat earthers in gangs of flat earthers. I engaged with so many of them. There are many people in the chat that did the same. We just go and hang out with other flat earthers discussing things, because sometimes people would share things that either they'd found, somebody had passed to them, they thought of, and they go and look for it there and then, and they discuss it with other flat earthers. And it was like a respite from the harassing or the harassment from the Globelings. Guess what's going on now, flat earthers? Do we still have these very high numbers of flat earth hangouts? No. What do we have instead? We have a very large number of globe earther hangouts. That's right. The flat earths, the rhetorics, those Mongos, long hangouts of themselves with themselves on their channels. Interesting, huh? How the pendulum swings. Flat earthers are like looking at things individually, joining people in chat sometimes, watching someone explain something or talk about something or show something. Very interesting observations made lately from the sun. Oh, not to be too frenetic. I'm very glad that up to now nothing major has happened from the Indonesian eclipse. I mean, yeah, there was a hurricane in the Philippines, but that was the day before, can't be directly linked, and that's tragic. But yeah, in terms of huge, serious things, up to now, fingers crossed, nothing. Let's hope it stays like that. And I say it because last time the tsunami happened a month after the last eclipse. I'm hoping that the next month will go by, and the month after, and the month after, and there'll be nothing from it. Okay, sorry. So, yes, Wobbly Boost. That's one of the guys with whom I would just sit and hang out for hours. It doesn't go on so much now, but it does go on from the Globelings. Like, it is a globe, isn't it? Yes, it is. It is, isn't it? Yes. Yes, it is, isn't it? It is funny. And it would be sad if it wasn't so funny. The cockiness that they display, like Red's rhetoric with his triangles. Like, you don't get it. So one day you'll get it and you go, oh, shine a light. With the Globelings not understanding what I'm explaining about time, going, no, no, no. Because if what you're saying is true, then my belief system's wrong, so what you're saying is not true. And that's how it goes. If what you're saying is true, then my belief system would be wrong. So, what you're saying is not true, because my belief system is not wrong. And if you say, have you checked? But nope, don't need to. And that was actually something that was said by the guy hosting by the cartographer yesterday. Said it several times. I don't need to. So at one point we're plotting sailing routes on maps, on my map, and I'm saying, he's saying, oh, your map fails with this Second World War ship. I said, how much does it fail by? Oh, it fails by 10,000 miles. Interesting. The way you've plotted it on my map, right? Not the way I would plot it on my map. But, okay, it fails by 10,000, does it? Well, 9. Oh, okay, so it fails by 9. Okay, have you checked on Google Earth? No, I don't need to. So I check on Google Earth live. I say, why say that on Google Earth it fails by, well, 15. Your globe fails by 15, maybe 16, depending if we're translating from miles to nautical miles. It fails by 12,000 nautical miles. Mine fails by 12,000 miles. His fails by 12,000. Mine, 9,000. Here's 12,000. Which one has the biggest discrepancy? So, yeah, that's what happened. Res retarded. Yeah, poor guy. What kind of insecure idiot introduces himself as a debunker? Flat enough. A really insecure idiot. That's who. Yes, I'm a debunker. Are you going to debunk things properly? Like, are you going, like, for instance, when cold fusion was a rumor. So these two guys, so fusion, or fission, sorry. Fission or fusion? I think it was fission. Anyway, so how do you generate heat from a radioactive material? Well, you put a charge through it, an electrical charge, and it heats the water very quickly, considering how much charge you're putting in, and that heated water generates more electricity than you put in. Oh, that would be over unity, but not really, because it's expending, it's spending material. Okay, that's a nuclear power plant. Great. If you could do that without the heating of the water, so which means without the infusion of the electrical energy, they say you could infuse it with, say, I don't know, light or magnetism or something else. Then you would have cold fusion. Okay, so these guys, they generate cold fusion. They manage to, well, generate cold fusion. The debunkers come out and say, false, we're going to peer review what you said, but instead of doing what you said you did, we're going to do these other things. Hey, we did these other things, and it's a crock of, it's not true. We didn't generate it. We didn't see any fusion. True story. That's what happens with people debunking things. Laurie Gale, how are you doing? Laurie Gale writes, I heard the imposter was going live tonight. What happened? Probably people started repeating this too much. Hey, won't it be interesting if when the imposter shows its face again, it's had the jawline reshaped? Just like yours truly said. Oh no! What will happen if that's the case? And the imposter can't show its face? Maybe it has to put some more severe highlight to try to bring back a little bit of that mannish jawline, maybe? But it's not looking good. When it shows its face again, it will have had severe surgery. In fact, if you bear with me, I'm going to do a thing that I was doing to myself, for myself. And I thought, oh my God, this is so freaky. So I'm going to do it. Just bear with me. Oh. Hi, you all know who I am. Yes, you can tell I'm a natural being because my face moves so naturally, right? Oh my God. That's what's going to happen. You're going to see a train wreck freak show. And all the people who are hoping that what went on was I'm the nasty one and that person is just a nice human woman, they're going to think, oh dear, I think I recognize this feeling. This is cognitive dissonance, where it turned out I was mistaken. I think the real one might be the guy in the red hood. I think that might be the honest one. The one that all these gaggle of people tried to, I don't know what they tried to, The smear. Yeah. Here's the authentic one. Those smeary people are the bullshit ones. Oh no! Oh no! But that isn't that freaky. Yeah, you can tell I'm normal because I look so synthetic. Never wait.
That's right. I've never had any surgery. That's why my face moves so naturally, see?
Anyway. Isn't that freak? I bought that because I thought, oh my god, that is so horrible and freaky. It's made, so I bought it from a craft place. It's supposed to be for like, I suppose, for children to paint and decorate, and obviously children that have not seen the film Eyes Wide Shut. But this is a horrible, horrible thing. And I thought, oh, I'm buying that for Halloween. I'm gonna wear this on Halloween. So I'm thinking ahead, planning ahead. I might cover it in something, but yes. Oh God. The Stay smear. I don't like saying the name Stay because the poor unfortunate real person that was called Patricia Stay, the real one, yeah, Madame Medusa, it's just coconut oil, no surgery. So the real person, the authentic one that was real, that doesn't look like the fake one, that's the one who was called Patricia Stay. The fake one just hijacked the identity. I think there was probably a very sick infatuation as a youngster with the real one. The real one died, and it just said, oh, well, I'm going to become that one. I'm going to tell the world that I am that one. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. I bet she still has wonky eyes. The original Patricia didn't have. That's right, Lover of Rock. See, that's one of those things that surgery just can't fix. So there would be other people. You look fine. You look fine. They'll not really know what to call it. They look fine. There's a Henry Hill writes something. Antonio, if she came out, you mean if he came out publicly and apologized for the rape allegations, you mean the rape smear, would you stop pretending he is a transgender? No, he's a transgender. I'm going to stop pretending. So, yes, there you go. The real Patricia Stay hasn't got uneven eyes. It doesn't. She doesn't. The real one doesn't. The first time the imposter sent me photos of herself when she was young, I said, that's not you. I thought it was doing it as a joke. So that's not you. Like different eye colour, but separate from that. It's just not the same person. It's like when you compare the two Stephen Hawkings. You know, the original with the imposter. I'm going to show it. Give me a second. Showed it before, so I'm going to show it again. And so many Globelings came and on the attack, and all I did was say, "Rest in peace, Stephen Hawking," meaning genuinely for the authentic Stephen Hawking who had finally been declared dead, for him to rest in peace. Because imagine people using your name, pretending that you're saying all kinds of things that you're not saying because you passed away, and then parading somebody around who didn't even look like you, saying that that was you. So I genuinely meant for Stephen Hawking to rest in peace. And the Globelings came out. How dare you? You haven't paid attention, have you, freaking idiot? So now I'm going to look. We're going to show photos, and we're going to do comparisons of the original Stephen Hawking versus the imposter Stephen Hawking. This is the original Stephen Hawking here, and here, and here. These black and white photos are the original Stephen Hawking. All the others are the imposter. Oh, looks like there's been a purge of the original Stephen Hawking with his deformities, apart from this one. No, here's the original Stephen Hawking. That's right. Oh, here's the original Stephen Hawking. Here's the fake. Here's the original. But there are people, I'm looking for a nice side-by-side. Here's a nice side-by-side. These two. People, oh, it's just older. It's like, he's not just older. He's older and a different freaking person. This is the original Stephen Hawking. This is the imposter. This is the one that retired when they said Stephen Hawking died. They retired him after flat earthers went around saying, that's an imposter. And if you look at side-by-side comparison photos, you'll see that that's an imposter. And one of the ways to tell that it's an imposter is because one of its eyes is lower in its face than the real Stephen Hawking. See, this one. Here's the real Stephen Hawking. Okay? And eyes generally don't gravitate around the face. They just don't move. They don't orbit the nose. Okay? So, if you look and you see the original, authentic, crippled Stephen Hawking, and you compare him with the, I don't know, I can't even say poor chap, because this guy is I don't know, just the heck. Yeah, so the death of a myth. Stephen Hawking, the real one, versus the imposter. And when you tell Globlings, hey, you notice all of the differences between the real Stephen Hawking and the imposter, they go, how dare you? How dare you? That man is a saint. Like, no, that man died, the real one, and the second one, you don't even know his name. So shut up, you easily fooled Globling. And then to go back to talking about the imposter, whose face obviously hasn't healed enough, or if it has healed enough, it's looking a bit too drastically different. Well,
Hello. I'm completely natural. You can tell by how my face moves.
I wish I found one of those ages ago. What am I doing? I am mocking a transgender. I am not mocking it for being transgender. I'm mocking it for being a covert narcissist who tried to smear me. Now, Henry Hill writes to me, I think your allegations about Steer, no, the real one was a woman. The fake one is transgender. Being an imposter who took over somebody else's identity ends any hope that your work on Flat Earth will be taken seriously. Why do that? Henry Hill, look, first, you don't know anything about the Flat Earth. If you think that something that I say is going to ruin everything on the Flat Earth from my contributions to it. Two, you keep trying to defend the imposter who tried to smear me as a rapist, Henry Hill. Why would you do that if not to try and elicit a little bit of narcissistic sustenance? So what I will do, which is very simple, is just say bye-bye to you. I mean, just silly. Oh, Madame Medusa says something funny because I can see... right. Madame Medusa writes, you know I'm going to get banned tomorrow tomorrow night, even if I just wrote hello. Yeah, probably would. Lover of Rock keeps referring to it under the wrong pronoun, but Lover of Rock knows a transgender, so I suppose he's doing it out of respect for the transgender that he knows. But anyway, the imposter purchased the $500,000 house 4 months before her supposed move to the UK, destitute to marry Antonio for the right to remain. She had no intention of stopping in the UK after the Flat Earth reality show was finished. Oh no, really? Could that really be true? Could the imposter be just a whole series of lies, just layered to try and give it a little bit of substance? Yeah. Ew, the wee wee, writes Wobbly Woost. And there are flat earthers who no longer make flat earth content who approached me and said, Antonio, I think you should reconsider this whole thing with the imposter. And I'm like, yeah, well, what can I do? I couldn't say, look, it's poor and it said it's going to end up homeless. I couldn't say that because I'm trying to, be kind to the crackpot crazy imposter. So, yeah. And later, they contacted me again and said, dude, we tried to warn you. I'm like, yeah, well, thanks, but thanks, actually. Thanks, but it didn't work, but I freaking wish it had, and all of that. Anyway, let's not make this about that narcissist, because that narcissist would like it to be all about itself. When I say imposter, it doesn't like it. So, I say imposter. There's a lot more interesting things to do in the real world. She-Man. Well, Antonio, hello everyone. Get contributions. No other be happy found truth. Well, God, bigger. Matt Lex Leon. I don't see what. I don't understand what you're writing. I've entirely lost the compulsion to convince, educate, to explain planar Earth to anyone. Wobbly Boost, I don't bother anymore. I mean, apart from this, I don't bother. Just let this. So, Flat Albert. I know this is off topic, but I saw that Karen B, who joined in on the smear, even though it knows. Look, guys, I can tell you the guys that are real corrupt people. Like, seriously, like, knowingly corrupt. Not deluded, not have forgotten, but real, seriously convicted. They have conviction in their lies. Okay? Knowing that they're lies. And Karen B is one of them. And she knows it. That's why it can never come here. It doesn't come here. But it knows it, and it'll be watching now. Hey, Karen, maybe you get a shave next time you go, show your face in public. Enough time out for more surgery, Laurie Gale. Well, I don't know if you were here when I first called it, but I did call it. I did say it. There you go. Wobbly Boost. Karen is in it up to her thick neck. Right. I'm just going to tell you. The first time I saw anything from Karen B, she was doing something with Zach. Dr. Zach. Okay? And I saw the tattooed arms, and at first I thought, oh my God, is Dr. Zach in contact with Ken Wheeler? Theoria Apophasis? Because it was only the arms, didn't see who it was or anything. Is that who this is? Oh no! It's this other woman. Like, really? Phil Jacko 84. Great questions. Yes. Tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to play a video. Just give me a second. I'm going to play it all the way through. I think I played it before, some time ago when it first came out, when it was first brought to my attention and to other people's attention, and then I contributed by bringing attention to it again. Give me a second. Dr. Robitaille. Oh, what am I doing? I'm in the wrong place. Just give me a second. And here you'll see what I mean by when it's switching from filament to filament. The rate, there's a real rate. There are people really studying the sun. They have the wrong theories behind it, but they're really studying and they're taking down the data they receive from their studies, from their equipment. Like, they really do study it. But then they misinterpret it because of the ideas they have that are so embedded in their thinking. So I'm going to play this video all the way through for educational purposes. Tell you what, since this new change in YouTube things, you can play a heck of a lot more videos without getting copyright strikes than in the past. In the past it would just be like an automatic, copyright strike, nope, better pull it down. So give me a second. And the Globelinks watching, when I pause and I explain, they'll say, no, that's not what it means. That's just what they'll do. No, that's not what it means. Like, that is what it means. What you're seeing is what it means. What I'm saying is what he's explaining. So, it's 8 minutes long. I'm going to play it and I'm going to go make that tea.
Hello everyone and welcome to Sky Scholar. Today we'll be discussing the liquid metallic hydrogen model of the Sun from the inside out. We start with the core of the Sun. Using helioseismology, we know that this region experiences solid body rotation.
Now, what he's saying about the inside of the Sun is all conjecture. It's all, well, what we see is this, it must mean that. But if you take it to mean, if you look through the filaments deeper, if you ignore the surface filaments and you look at what's going on behind the surface or the closest filaments to us, which are literally millimeters away from the lens, the closest filaments that are manifesting the Sun. It's a whole series all the way to, well, where the Earth's sky becomes night. You know, that high up, don't get to a point high up, gone, no sun visible now. Okay, so that's what he's describing. But obviously he's talking about a core because he thinks the Sun is a ball of liquid metallic hydrogen. Now I'm going to point out again for Sasha, look at the hexagonal shapes.
Of 430 nanohertz, as we saw in this video.
430 nanohertz. What's that? That's the rate at which it crosses from filament to filament. I said it was in the gigahertz. No, it's in the nanohertz. What do hertz refer to? Vibrations. Oh, so now it's vibrating this one, now it's vibrating that one. How long between the two? 430 nanohertz between the two. Huh.
This rotation occurs not only at the core's surface, but also as we penetrate the core and independent of latitude, as seen in this figure.
Oh, independent of latitude. Is he referring to latitude of the sun or latitude on the earth from which it's being observed? It's a bit unclear. But hey, look at that. It looks like, well, a series of filaments joining to a nexus. But it's just a graphic. It's just a graphic trying to explain, well, a holoprismatic nexus without knowing that they're explaining a holoprismatic nexus.
Note in the liquid metallic hydrogen model that the core constitutes a substantial portion of the inner sun, extending from about 0.64 solar radii. This larger core matches helioseismic measurements. The core is best represented as adopting the most stable of metallic hydrogen lattices.
Like, wait, I hope I still have it. Like this. What's this? Liquid hydrogen hydrostatic lattice. Oh no, is it? Yes.
Body-centered cubic. This crystal structure for the core was proposed independently by Setsuo Ishimaru, as I discussed in this paper. Ichimaru assumed a 150 grams per centimeter cube density for the core, like
assumed. Gonna go over. Just so we hear these words, because otherwise we hear the details, but the foundation, which just makes it all so flimsy, just slips on by. So listen.
By Setsuo Ishimaru, as I discussed in this paper. Ichimaru assumed a
He did what? He assumed. Oh.
150 grams per centimeter cube density for the core, like the standard gaseous model. But in the liquid metallic,
the standard gaseous model, which is made of assumptions that disregard observational data. The assumptions that make the gaseous model, on which that Japanese physicist made his assumption, they're just assumptions. That's all they are. And entirely false.
Metallic hydrogen solar model, the sun should have a relatively uniform density below the photospheric layer, not increasing by orders of magnitude beyond 1.4 grams per centimeter cube, the sun's average density.
That's an assumption. The sun's average density. It's an assumption, dude. If you said the sun's average number of filaments through which you're seeing this nexus, well, it's a bit of a futile pursuit, but go ahead.
Where the solid solar core meets the liquid body.
Oh, the solid core? There's no such thing, silly.
The tachocline layer exists. This region extends from about 0.64 solar radii to about 0.7 solar radii. The rotation of the core against this liquid causes huge shear forces in this region.
So, this shear forces are when fluids move in different directions. When electromagnetic fields move in different directions, you also have shear forces. The lattice he has described, which is a real lattice, when I describe the field that the astrophysicists and the physicists all together can't describe as an array. It is an array. The light array, you could consider a lattice array. It's okay, but it's still an array. Now the vibration of those filaments that make up that array has a shear force. That's what causes the vibration we call light. But where have you heard this? Nowhere. You've not heard this anywhere other than in the Book of the Sun and right now. Let's continue.
Which have been verified by helioseismic studies. Above this relatively thin tachocline,
now we enter fantasy a bit deeper,
rests the convective zone. Like a pot of water on the stove, This liquid metallic hydrogen flows to carry heat convectively from the core to the photosphere, where it can be dissipated as light.
Now, when they're talking about light, fine, but when they talk about temperature, that's entirely assumption.
The presence of the convective zone indicates that the solar core is constantly attempting to dissipate its heat. Unlike the body-centered cubic structure of the core, this region of the sun is comprised of type 2 metallic hydrogen, which is a compressed and therefore more metallic hexagonal planar structure.
Like the structure in this. You see, the guy who invented this will have been using geometry. He will have been using geometry. He would have tried different angles for the diodes. I think the guy who made this lamp was simply trying to get the blue off the sky. I think that's what he was trying to make. And I think at one point he saw that he was getting a band of glare. I thought, oh my God, if I tweak things, maybe I can get this band of glare to become a circle of glare. And lo and behold, there you go, the artificial sun skylight.
The heat produced in the core has now traveled using convection to the surface of the sun, the photosphere. This region has previously been described as boiling, as we saw in this video. Solar eruptions cause transverse waves to ripple across the surface while matter is ejected from the sun and splashed.
These that we're seeing are CGI images. These are not real sun images. I know the guy who took the best photos of the sun. He's called the Solar Explorer. He lives in Almeria, Spain. He provided NASA with the original photos on which they based their CGI versions of the sun, like what we're seeing now. I personally know the guy. His images were used by Nassim Haramein. His images have been in the National Geographic. That's on real photos of the sun is what this is based on. This is CGI. This is for illustration purposes only.
Back down onto the photosphere with satisfying heaviness. The photosphere is built from type 1 metallic hydrogen, which acts as a weak semimetal. It also...
Oh, looks like filaments with energy coursing through them in a hexagonal shape, like a honeycomb shape. Oh, so looks like Grebennikov was kind of onto something.
possesses a hexagonal planar structure, but one which is somewhat less compressed than the more metallic type 2 hydrogen found in interior layers. It is this graphite-like liquid metallic hydrogen structure which emits heat energy as light into space.
Into space. All of what he just said is conjecture based on real observations. So there's real observations, and then they conceptualize what they must mean with distance between the surface of the Earth and the sky, and the interactions, the secondary interactions, because you see, they think that whatever it is that their equipment is received, whatever their equipment receives is secondary. So, well, our equipment says there are these shapes and these forms to the electromagnetic field. But obviously they have been modulated by the atmosphere, having been modulated by the Van Allen belt. In truth, they must be these other things, because, you know, distance and space. They don't understand. The only thing we have is that what they consider secondary. It's not secondary. That's what we have. There isn't a different form farther away in space that resulted in what we receive. We have what we receive. It comes literally from the sky, not from some way out in space to energize the sky to then go on and be received by equipment on Earth. We have the sky generating this and the equipment on Earth picking up those electromagnetic waves. That's what we have.
The method by which this occurs has been previously shown in depth in this video. The varying metallic character of type 1 and type 2 metallic hydrogen can also be used to account for limb darkening and for explaining the emission of structures at or near the photospheric level, including sunspots, granules, and faculae. An in-depth explanation was provided in this video. Because type 1 and type 2 metallic hydrogen share the hexagonal planar structure of graphite, these materials also accommodate what are known as intercalate regions, first described in this paper. Hydrogen atoms make up the hexagonal planar lattice, while non-hydrogen atoms are located between these planes. The presence of intercalate regions is vital to properly understanding the behavior of the sun and the stars, and we will return to this idea in future videos. Type 1.
Remember, the stars are in filaments. Not just the galaxies, like I showed earlier on, the individual stars themselves, according to the observations, not the mathematical calculations, the observations.
1 and type 2 metallic hydrogen can also be viewed as a one-component plasma, wherein the protons are restricted to their lattice points, with the electrons freely delocalized, as we saw in this video. Now, in the liquid metallic hydrogen model of the sun, there is no radiative zone, which had characterized the standard model as we saw in this video. Objects simply do not radiate internally, but use conduction and convection to achieve this end. Immediately above the photosphere is the chromosphere. I have argued in this video that this region possesses condensed matter in the form of dense hydrogen. The exact structure is not clear, but might resemble this lattice structure.
He's talking about an idea. The sun, being a physical body, must have these things. The being a physical body is the assumption.
In the chromosphere, we also find atoms, molecules, and ions. The region plays a critical role in the metallic hydrogen model as the site of hydrogen recondensation. It is the presence of emission lines in the chromosphere that leads to this conclusion. This topic has been described in detail in these papers and will be addressed in future videos. The important point for now is that in this model, the chromosphere has a real function. This is a central difference relative to the random nature advanced for this region in the standard solar model. Above the chromosphere is the corona, which is seen as an awesome structure in eclipse photography.
This is a very airbrushed photograph. We could see this photograph without the airbrushes with very distinct filaments. Very distinct filaments. But of course that doesn't play up to what he's saying, so let's airbrush it a bit. We know they do this kind of thing.
Consists of type 1 metallic hydrogen, which has escaped the solar surface. From the top of the chromosphere and dominating out to about 2.3 solar radii is the K corona. This region produces its own polarized light, as discussed in this video.
Most of what he's saying, by the way, is just assumption.
Its spectrum lacks the Fraunhofer lines of the photosphere. With increasing elevation, the corona cools. It is therefore no longer self-luminous, but rather starts to reflect mostly unpolarized photospheric light and the associated Fraunhofer lines. This is the region known as the F corona. With further distance from the sun, the coronal material begins to change its structure and gives rise to the thermal, or T corona. The inner K corona is known to be associated with the production of emission lines, giving rise to the E corona. In the standard model, this is
I'm going to play that again. Is known.
The inner K corona is known to be...
Is known? It's like, it's another assumption. Now, one of this guy's hobby horses is saying the gaseous sun proponents, they're just riddled with assumptions. It would pay him dividends to not riddle his own theories with assumptions.
Be associated with the production of emission.
In fact, for any serious physicists out there, if you were to remove all of the assumptions from your theories, you would have nothing. You would have just experimental results and no way to interpret them, because you don't even know what a field is. And this stupid flat earther has explained to you that a field is an array. An array of what? An array of etheric filaments.
Lines given rise to the e-corona. In the standard model, this is interpreted as the result of strange heating of the corona to millions of degrees. This results in an increase in temperature with elevation above the solar surface because gases can only produce emission lines via heating in this model. But that conjecture is not reasonable and violates thermodynamic laws. The liquid metallic hydrogen model explains these emissions by invoking the high electron affinity of metallic hydrogen present in the corona.
But wait, what about the electricity? What about that part of it? Where's that coming? Because he hasn't mentioned it. But here's the... If you remove electricity from his model, the model isn't there. It just doesn't make much mention of it, because then that would provoke people or cause people to ask the question, where's the electricity coming from for your model?
When free atoms interact with this material, they are stripped of many of their electrons, and a highly ionized species results. This mechanism allows the corona to harvest electrons and maintain the electrical neutrality of the solar body.
Now, you mentioned it, electrical neutrality. What does that mean? Does it mean it's plastic and not subject to electromagnetism, like that kind of thing? No. That's not what it means. Don't be silly. It means, well, that it can surf between different kinds of electrical models. Yeah, that's what it is. We don't really need to pay attention to the electricity involved with the model. Don't be silly. It's electrically neutral.
We will return to these ideas later. I hope that you enjoyed this video on the liquid metallic hydrogen model of the sun and the stars.
I love especially his presentation style, and I'm not like mocking him. I do like it. It's like it makes this guy memorable.
If you did, please leave a like.
No, okay, enough of that. So, what's going on with the heliocentrists having to shift models? How is it that even within the field of heliocentric solar system, you have 3 distinct models of the sun? You have the Thunderbolts project. You have this guy who's kind of, well, he can't really go join the Thunderbolts project very much because that's very heavy electrical based. And you have the other, the crackpot, you know, the Santa Claus globe one. In the real world, this is going on. They're like, well, maybe this other thing's going on. We've looked at the details of what you've said thus far, and you made all kinds of assumptions, and those assumptions, well, first, they rendered false predictions, or predictions that turned out to, well, not occur, and the observations say, no, this is wrong. So, not just observations that were predicated on predictions, but observations that were made by people who were not looking for a result to a prediction. They're just observing and going, oh, look at what I noticed. So that's what's going on with the most brilliant minds in academia. And here you have this crackpot, half-wit flat earther saying, guys, why don't you just look? Why don't you look at the shadows of the sun? Why don't you just look? Why don't you take a droplet of water and look? Why don't you see that it's all energized filaments? They know that we live in a field where the majority of the electromagnetic waves are not perceived. They're not visible to us. We don't experience them, not consciously anyway. They know that. And when you say to them, well, these electromagnetic fields are actually vibrating etheric filaments. It's like, it's not breaking too much of your world. It's just giving you more detail. And eventually they will come across this, they will come across my books, and they will go, oh, geez, oh, okay. And does that mean that I'm freaking brilliant? No, it doesn't. It means I just noticed something, I'll put it out there. Now, there are flat earthers in the real world who are after Nobel Prizes. They are after the Nobel Prize. In the real world, complete bullshit-ridden flat earthers like Mike Kavanagh and Bob Nodell and those guys. They really think that they have a serious chance. They haven't got a prayer. Why? Because, wait a second, this guy, the guy who made this light, did not receive the Nobel Prize. Okay? So if you think that with your cockamamie BS or your rewording of my own work, you're going to get a Nobel Prize, sorry, but dude, you're dreaming. Okay, now we'll stop sharing that. I nearly put the mask on again. Oh, the freaky mask. Right, now I'm going in the chat, see what's going on. Love, wisdom, harmony, greetings. Yes, so Screwjob dropping subs, they're doing it all the time. Wobbly boost. All the time. Angel Fire writes, when I look at the sun, I'm seeing a clockwise spiral, and they have no mention of anything like this in their models. Of course not. They really don't. I mean, there's no way they can address that. The fact that you can be looking at the sun with the filaments and think, oh, the filaments are just an artifact of my lenses, of my eyes, of the surface of the eye. But you can take your eyes, that thing that's having this barrel distortion style artifact, and trace the filament with your eyes, which means you've shifted the area of your lens. Whether the fact that you can do this, no, can't address that either. That's why that photo that he showed of the eclipse was so heavily airbrushed. Because we've seen photos. Oh, by the way, the one recently from Abu Dhabi, was it? That was fantastic. An excellent photo. I can't show it now here because I haven't got a link to it here. But yeah, so the eclipse, camel, guy with a camel, and oh, very drastic filaments. Very drastic crepuscular rays from the region, from the edge of the eclipse. Here's eclipse. Here's very drastic rays. But wait a second, the eclipse is going on millions and millions of miles over that way. The heck is this ray doing here? Parish Mike, hi Antonio, hope you're doing well, dude. I am, thank you very much. Yeah, thanks. And I see somebody else in the chat like saying Abu Dhabi. Yes. Yeah, me too. So I'm just scrolling through the chat, see if anything jumps out at me. Oh, Iron 26. He just ignored her. It was when she was in the lobby talking and she tried to bring it up. Hammond Walker. What's that conversation? So, okay. Iron 26. Alright. So, Hammond Walker, right. Hammond, there. Let me fix my teeth. Hammond Walker writes, Iron 26. Did you see the clip where Karen B tried telling Owen B that Bigfoot was real? Owen Benjamin, she's like, and you know Bigfoot, that's real too. Now I like Lloyd Pie. I do. But why would you go to someone's house? And you know Bigfoot, real too. Why would you do that? Musicians for Truth. Right, and this is just so apt. This guy is a spectroscopy dude, and he thinks the sun is a liquid. Like, there's no explaining some things, Jay. Like, the brain, they think gas, gaseous sun. Look, no, it's not a gaseous sun. That's that huge, distant thing. What else could it be? That's what's going on. Instead of going, sun, shadows, hey, these shadows, huh? These shadows are pointing to a very close by sun, but wait a second, that can't be right. If I go 50 meters that way, I'm not under the sun. The heck? It's almost like the sun moves with me. It's almost like the sun is a holoprismatic thing. And then Medusa writes to Laurie Gale, I said it likes the attention, so too much. It does. I said it will be back by FE USA conference after having facial work. I was a month out. Yes, because it took the older you get, the longer healing takes. But you will all see. You will all be in their chats, probably not writing because you'll immediately get banned. And you'll be watching going, oh my God, this is a freak show. Antonio was right. Some of you might even be saying, oh, I bet you Antonio is secretly still in on them, with them, and kind of, what's it called? Like programming. Oh, what's it called when you predictive programming? Antonio was predictive programming. Da, da, da. No. Just telling you my thoughts. I haven't heard from any of them. I don't care about any of them. Just my thoughts. That Trump guy is going to go in a hissy fit, having already thought, oh, I heard what Antonio said about my masculine jaw. Maybe I could get it a bit more feminized. Not thinking, because it's retarded and broken-brained. It's crazy, okay? Not realizing, the reason it thought that was that it heard me saying, oh, it will get its jaw reshaped. So I thought, jaw reshaping, that'd be a good idea. Goes and gets his jaw reshaped. Lots of people saying, Antonio says he's going to get its jaw reshaped. Ban, delete. But word runs. Antonio says it's going to get its jaw reshaped and be back. Just wait and see. That it comes back looking just like before, chances of that, 0. I also said with a different hairstyle, maybe different hair colour too, to disguise the change. And it would probably do something like say, most people say this makes my jaw look finer, this hairstyle. I did this on purpose, like. And people would just take photos and compare. People like Lover of Rock and go, no, Antonio was right. But you've known I was right all along, so yeah. P. Murray Level Earth. How long before your new book is ready? And do you have a chapter on the moon? I've not finished writing it yet, so I don't know how long. And do I have a chapter on the moon? I will be covering the moon, yeah. It's very similar to the sun, apart from the illumination aspect to it. But the illumination aspect is also, it's not, it's filamentary, my dear Watson. Filamentary. Right, so I'm scrolling through the chat. Bigfoot, my mockery would be epic. Do you know how many times I've thought of just playing the role of the Globling and mocking half-wit flat earthers from the globing point of view, because obviously I understand the globe model, the amount of time, I mean, there are flat earthers like, oh, we've drawn a map. Let's have a look. Oh, it's the Gleason. You've redrawn the Gleasons? What for? A new chin, writes Chilster Deluxe. Pato Finian got a new chin again in order to begin again. Aye. Oh! Enough. Oh, wait a second. Am I? Yes, sir. Sorry. Let's see. Jacob Di Pietro writes, a dumb idiot flat earth snowflake. Care to put that in context? Judith Bass writes, Antonio, you live in Mother God's womb. You will like my new book, Judith. Has anybody seen anything of the conference? Does anybody have a link to Owen Benjamin at the conference? If you could link Owen Benjamin at the conference, his comedy routine or whatever it is that he did, would you type X? I'll give you a wrench and you can share it. Emerald Rider, there's a metaphorical channel to be had with that mask. I really could, couldn't I? I could just... no, I'm busy. But I could just mimic... In fact, what I could do with that mask is just... But it would mean listening to whatever that creature says. Listening to it. And I could just say it again with a slight different tone, you know, and but with a mask. Just say exactly the things that it says. If I did, people would notice the word salading. Because if you haven't noticed, let's say it's talking about leather, okay, as a vegan, and fake leather. And it would say the words, somehow it reminds me of Holidays Abroad, or something like that. Something that's like, there's no link. Talking about leather, vegan leather, fake leather, somehow reminds you of Holidays Abroad, which is interesting because on my last holiday abroad, we had some lovely, it's like, the somehow is just thrown in there to change rails. You see them. Oh, Madame Medusa, brilliant. I'll give you a wrench. At one point, when I didn't have that much to do, I sat down, listening to one of the hangouts, jotting down words I heard repeated that are like key words, which are word salad words, words for shifting. Word salad is not just words that have no association. It's small concepts joined to other small concepts where the joining makes no sense, where the concepts linked make no sense. So you're talking about boiled eggs, and now you're talking about sandcastles, and now you're talking about this jumping from topic to topic to topic to topic. There has to be a join. So the word salad is the joining, the terms used to join the ridiculous different short concepts, short ideas, short little snippets of conversation. And I sat and I wrote down, somehow is its biggest one. Somehow. Just listen. Next time any of you listen, just listen to it saying, somehow. And what it says after the somehow. Laurie Gale, I understand what Antonio's saying. Yes. Yes. The art of sounding like you're explaining something, but you aren't, says Wobbly Boo. Laurie Gale, I talk like that if I'm high. Do you? Okay. Madame Medusa, thank you very much for the link. And I will remove your wrench. Thank you. So, yeah, just there's a whole series of them. I didn't commit them to memory. In fact, I just threw the scrap of paper away. I thought, I should not bother. What's the point? It's not that entertaining. I just did it as an exercise kind of thing. The sun is a solid prism disc. Not solid. I watched his routine speech, and when he used the N-word, I think some people tried distancing themselves. Just my opinion. I'm sure Rob S. About died. Okay, I will listen to it. I'm not going to play it now, by the way, guys, in case you thought I was going to do that. I just wanted to watch it. George Irisari. Very good. Channel Antonio. Cheers from USA. You're welcome, George Irisari. What a cool name. That's Basque, isn't it? In your you have Basque lineage in your word, in your name. From the Basque country, I mean. Which are mysterious people, by the way, in case anybody doesn't know about the Basque. Sombrero genial. Me lo dio mi hermana, Emerald Rider. My sister gave it to me. I mean, as a Christmas gift. It's not like she's, oh yeah, you have that hat. Ooh, Owen Benjamin. Oh, I see. From a channel called I'm Not Owen Benjamin. Oh, that's hilarious. That's just like Norm MacDonald's channel called I'm Not Norm MacDonald, which is Norm MacDonald's channel. That's originality there. Norm MacDonald, by the way, anybody who doesn't know Norm MacDonald, you are so missing out. You are really missing out if you don't know Norm MacDonald. Let's see. Okay, so what I'm going to do, guys, it's 1:30 in the morning, and I'm going to bail. I'm going to go and watch this, and I'm going to link it in the chat in case people missed it. The Owen Benjamin thing, I'm going to see. And do you know, I find it very interesting. So from time to time, I go to see what other Flat Earth stuff there is. And obviously there are many buffers now that YouTube has imposed. It's very difficult to find stuff. So sometimes, you know, I'll go to like Mark Sargent or it's like, really? Like nothing? The Deep Inside the Rabbit, like nothing? Jeranism, nothing? Observations from newer flat earthers, genius newer flat earthers, not so new, I mean the channels are new, they've obviously been watching for a while going, I just had a thought, and they go and do the thought and video it and put it on. Owen Benjamin is totally overrated, Tony Martin. I think so too. I enjoyed it for a while. The fact that he was saying things that were like not politically correct. But yeah. So I enjoyed the fact that he was breaking the political correctness rules. But if you look at, say, Ricky Gervais and how he breaks the politically correctness rules. Or even Dave Chappelle and how he breaks those rules. Like first, they're funny, you actually laugh. You don't just go, oh, that was clever. You actually laugh. And they break them so much more robustly. So standing on a 3-pin electric plug barefoot is funnier than Owen Benjamin. Okay, it's a bit severe, you know, but yeah, I get you. Ooh, here's a question for you guys from Angel Fire. Does it make sense that the sun is flashing the spectrum, starting with the blue through red, becoming brilliant, and then moves to the next filament? That's a good question. That is a good question. Thanks for that. That's a cool question. I hadn't actually thought that. I'm now thinking, wait a second. So vibration starting, escalating, changing through the frequencies, and then leaping to the next one, energizing, escalating. I like that. That's a brilliant question. Thanks for that. Right, folks, that's it. I'm going to go and plagiarize Angel Fire's thoughts. Not really. I'm going to go and listen to Owen Benjamin. But dude, that's a brilliant thought. Thanks for that. I'm going to ponder about that. Seriously. Before the blue is crimson, right? It depends. So crimson and ultraviolet. Yeah, I have to look. Yeah, but that's a brilliant question. Desde Argentina, gracias por tu trabajo. Muchísimas gracias, Rafael. Pronto haré otro en castellano, en español. And Emma Ryder. Right. Norm MacDonald is a hilarious guy. Bob MacDonald, however, is a very Norm MacDonald. Okay, guys, that's it. Otherwise, I'm just going to carry on and not have a wee. Yes, it's narrowband Angel Fire. That's a brilliant question. I really appreciate that. Thanks for that. Thanks for asking that question. Ooh. Right, folks. See. Oh, by the way, Angel Fire. You might think, that might be what gives it the spin that you're seeing. The spiral. Okay, folks, thank you very much for your time. I'm going to bail and end this stream, which you now have to do in 2 different ways. A todos, saludos. And to all the English speakers and the Spanish speakers, shalom.